Cascade Hoops Talk, bringing the world NAI basketball one podcast at a time. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, please like and subscribe this podcast. I really appreciate it. Hey, this morning we have Justin Ray. He's the head men's basketball coach, Thomas More Saints. He's entering his fifth season there. He's already got 90 wins, 74% win percentage. Coach Ray, he went to Oak Hills High, where he also, by the way, got Ryan Batey and Luke Rudy. He played basketball at Christian Brothers, was a player there for 4 years, 3-year starter. That's a school down in Memphis, Tennessee. He's a great guy. We're going to talk to him about Thomas More is going to go back to NC2A. They're going to go to D2 next season. We're just going to touch on that a little bit because it's going to swirl around this team all season, and Coach Ray will be able to manage through that. He's a pretty disciplined guy, but we'll ask him about that. We'll ask him a little bit about that heartbreak loss against Talladega. He's going to really appreciate me asking about that. But then we're going to talk about this year's edition of the Thomas More Saints and what it's going to take to compete in the Mid-South. So why don't we just take a listen to Coach Justin Ray, Thomas More Saints. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Coach Justin Ray. He's the head men's basketball coach, Thomas More Saints. He's entering his fifth season over there. 90 wins already, 74% win percentage. How you doing, Coach? Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, Billy. Thank you for having me on, man. Got a lot of respect for you and what you're doing, and thank you for bringing a lot of attention to small college hoops.
You know, Coach Ray, you've taken the Saints to the NAIA National Tournament the last 3 seasons, culminated in that round of 4 last season. You lost that heartbreak against Talladega. I'm going to ask you a little bit about that, but just talk about what your ride has been the last few years. You've had some terrific success there at Thomas More.
Yeah, Billy, it's, as much as I would love to take the credit for it, a lot of this credit's got to go to the guys that we had here. We were a transition team from Division III to NAIA. A lot of those guys that were here my first year in Division III, they played, big pieces, in the transition and the success that we've had. Garen Birch, Max Nisley, those guys were all D3 guys that were here. Bring in a few more pieces, with Ryan Batey and Luke Rudy and those guys. But, it's been a hell of a ride so far. The NAI has been great. The Mid-South has been great. All these coaches that we're competing against are so talented and so good. You've really got to just step back and appreciate the guys that we've had buying into the system and the culture that they've created here. And, along with all that kind of stuff, you're gonna win some games. So, it's been a lot of fun. Obviously last year it was kind of the third year we've been at this level, and third year with the nucleus of that team. And we were able to have one of those special years that you hope you can have. So it's been a lot of fun, and I've been really lucky to coach a lot of great people and great players.
Coach, you've mentioned your level a couple of times. It's going to be a bit of a distraction, or it could be a bit of a distraction for your team. Everybody knows you're going to be going back to D2. That was a decision by the school. You'll be successful at any level you coach at. But how do you manage the team to assure that story that's going to surround you guys all season does not become a distraction?
It will be, but I think that the conversation after last year and the success that we had, it was mostly, about complacency and feeling like that, having that attitude that we have arrived, winning the Mid-South, making a Final Four run. Guys can tend to, forget how they got there and how hard they had to work to achieve those things. So that's really been the main conversation is like, fellas, that was last year and nobody cares, what you did last year. This is a whole new year. This is a whole new team, and focusing more on the day-to-day and the now, with that cloud kind of hanging over top. And, I know that it is a distraction and there's some excitement about it, but if we can get lost, in this team, in this program, in this year, I think that'll take up a lot of our attention.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. Coach, you and I talked for a moment just before, but I've been able to watch you at the tournament, and you run a highly disciplined program, and it shows up in the way you play, very deliberate on the court, high shooting percentages. Just talk about what you try to bring to your team and what culture you try to build within the Thomas More Saints basketball program.
Well, I mean, that's kind of how I was brought up. That's the programs I played in. So I don't know it any other way. The guys that we have, you've got to have we recruit a particular type of guy that comes from a lot of those programs, the way we do it. But, you talked about the shooting percentage. I mean, for us, we are what we talk about and what we stress. And we talk a lot about, shot selection and making sure we get the best shot possible. When we talk about our shot, it's not your shot. So when I see a team that shoots a high percentage, not only do you have good players, but we have good decision makers, and we have unselfish guys, and some guys, when you talk to them about shot selection, that's not a good shot. They'll take it personally and they'll think you're taking a shot at their ego or, whatever. And you just have to have those conversations that it ain't about that. And it's not about you. It's about us. So the discipline and all that stuff, it doesn't work unless you've got the right guys that are willing and humble enough, to kind of give themselves up to the team and buy into the culture and the system that we have in place here. And, there's a certain way that things have to be done in order to be successful for us. Probably doesn't work at a lot of other places, but here, things have to be done a certain way, and we're going to hold them to that standard. And when they dip below that or deviate away from that, I'm gonna let them know. And as you probably saw in Kansas City, I'm not always going to ask you nicely. There's no time for that in a competitive environment. I might get a little too close to you, but, it all comes from a place of love, and they understand that. And like I said, we got great kids that are want to be coached, and they've had the success to come with it. So it's been a lot of fun.
We got to talk about, I did enjoy watching you guys in Kansas City last year, and I know it's a bad subject, but that final possession, I thought you were going to win the game. I think Coach Wright thought you were going to win the game. Ryan Bate got the ball at his spot. Everybody in the country knew that was his spot. And he has that little turnaround. It didn't go. And then it looked for all the world like Noah Pack was going to put it back. Just talk about that. That must have the bottom must have felt like it just fell out.
Yeah, that will hurt probably for the rest of my life, and these guys. But, and I told Noah Pack after that game that, he shouldn't feel bad. I know he's not going to listen to me, but
yep.
Man, we were down 16 in the first half, and we got the thing back, got it to overtime. So he shouldn't feel bad at all about missing that shot. But you know how it is, as a coach, when the ball doesn't go in, you think about all the other things that I probably should have run. I didn't call a timeout. I already had it called because I was afraid we were going to come out and he was going to be in a zone. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to just play, and we already had the play called, all that kind of game. There's so many things that you think about, man, what if I just would have done this or this or this in that scenario. But that was about as gut-wrenching as it's been for me to go to the national championship game, and hats off to Chris Wright. I mean, they kicked our rear ends in the first half, and Talladega and all those guys. I mean, that was a hell of a team. And I thought when he missed it and then Pack got it, he goes up in the air. I've watched it a million times. He's kind of coming down. He may jump too early.
Oh, okay.
And he's coming down when he's shooting it, and I think he just overshot it. And unfortunately, it didn't fall for us. But man, what a hell of a ride it was for us. Those guys will remember that forever.
Yeah, and absolutely. And you can't let that one possession define you. But I mean, it was a historic possession. I had to ask you about it. You just mentioned Ryan Bate. He's graduated, moved on. Boy, he really meant the world to your program. He 53% from the field. I think 22 points, almost 8 rebounds. But something most people don't realize about him, he had a 2.2 turnover assist ratio. The guy could handle the ball. You ran your offense through him. Talk about what he meant to the program.
Yeah, I mean, he was the quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the ball in his hands every possession. The way we run things over here, he kind of dictates what we run. And he knew he had the green light, and that was 3 years in the making. I mean, it was, the year before he had almost 80 turnovers. A lot of the credit goes to him as far as the player that he turned himself into. When a lot of guys are out and having fun on Saturday nights, he was in here. He was in the gym, so, I give a ton of credit to him, but it just from a leadership standpoint, Being a local guy around here, he's from Cincinnati. Thomas More, we're right across the river here. He brought us a lot of publicity, great publicity with the success that he was having. He was the heart and soul of what we were doing over here, along with some of these other guys that really got it going. But we are not, we're not Thomas More without Ryan Batey.
Yeah, he was he was kind of the face of the team, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he did everything for us. He was out in the community. I mean, he was a favorite at camp. His play on the court was, obviously a big deal for us. But man, he was always around campus. He was at all kinds of other games. I mean, he was just a pleasure to be around, pleasure to coach. And we obviously, he had another year. We wanted him back.
Right.
But he was, with the year that he had, understandably so, he wanted to strike while the iron's hot and, go get overseas. And that was always his goal. And he graduated. So, I always told him, you got to do what's best for you. And, that's what he decided to do. So we will miss him this year for sure. But man, we're always indebted to him for all the blood, sweat, and tears he gave to Thomas More basketball. That's for damn sure.
And then we got to talk about his high school teammate, Luke Rudy, who incidentally is also your alma mater, Oak Hills. Oak Hills pumping out the basketball players, it looks like.
That's right.
Hey, Luke Rudy, here's a fun fact for fans. He scored almost 400 points last season, and I think he shot 11 two-point field goals.
I didn't know he shot that many.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I had to read the numbers about 5 times, but he shot, it was close to 200 threes, or it was anyway, he shot 11 two-point. He loved the three, didn't he?
He made 110 threes last year. That was best in the country at our level. That's over 3 a game. He put in the work, Billy. I mean, he was in here a lot, almost every day. And he had some back issues early, and when he got back, man, he was just one of those disciplined guys that was always in the gym. He understood what he did well and didn't do well, and he didn't try to do those things, and he stuck to his guns and what he was good at. And I think the worst thing he did was make 7 threes against Sagu in the Sweet 16 because Oklahoma Wesleyan and Talladega didn't let him get a sniff. They didn't let him see the light of day. They were face guarding him, but he was another guy. He actually went to Oak Hills where I went to high school. Then he went to Christian Brothers where I played college.
Yeah.
And my former college coach, who was his coach, left and went to Delta State. And that's when, he didn't want to sit out. So he didn't want to go to Delta State, which was in the same league. So his girlfriend was here playing soccer. We're home. We're running kind of the same offense. I said, man, what else do you need to know? Come on over here. I said, Ryan Batey's over here already. So Again, he's another guy that, I knew what I was getting when he came over here. We miss him like hell already this year. I mean, he's just disciplined, hardworking, great leader, all the things that come with that. And now he's got a full-time big boy job, which doesn't shock me at all, making all kinds of money. So
good for him.
Yeah,
great.
We're going to miss the hell out of him.
Yeah, and, Coach, he shot 268 threes at a 41% clip. I'm surprised you didn't have him shoot 500 of them. Here's our offense.
With him and Reed, and all, there wasn't enough shots to go around.
Yeah, but that's true.
Man, he was special. He's probably the best shooter I've ever coached. Maybe one other guy is close, but to make 110 of them in a season, when really that's all you can do, and every team knows that's what you're going to do. It's hard to keep up that kind of consistent.
And then also graduating, move on. Garen Birch. He shot 54% from the field. He shot 40% from 3 as well. 9 points, 4 rebounds. He was really steady performer for you.
Yeah, he was really a glue guy. I mean, he was the best leader on our team the last couple of years. He always guarded the other team's best player. He was a D3 leftover. So he was here when I got here. I actually tried to recruit him out of high school to another Division III I was at. And he big time me. He wouldn't even answer the call. So it was good that when I got over here, and it's funny how things work out. I got to coach him over here, but before he was done, he was an all-conference player. He was second team all-league last year, and I don't think if you ask him, he would have never thought that would have ever happened. And but he's another one, just leadership-wise. All the intangibles that came with him. He will be sorely missed, but he was a lot of fun to coach.
Yeah, I want to talk about your returning core, but before we do that, you mentioned the Big South, Mid-South. That's a heck of a conference there. Talk about what it's like to compete in that conference.
Well, when they told us we were going into Mid-South, and being that I had played D2, coached D2, I was a GA in Division I, and then I coached D3 for, 7 years. They said we're going in the Mid-South, and everybody's heard of Georgetown and Pikeville and Cumberland. You start looking at it, and you're like, my God, this is really good. And then you watch the team that came in last place last year, and you're just like, my God, these guys everybody's good, and so I thought we had a pretty good understanding of what we were walking into. That first year we started out 0-4 in the league, and I thought, well, we weren't getting blown out. So we were close, and we just stuck to it, and then we ran off 13 straight, upset number 1 Georgetown, and did a lot of great things. But every night, Billy, if you don't bring it, man, anybody will beat you. I think that's, I think a lot of leagues that are really, really good, at least the top half are, elite. For us, if you don't play really well and you don't bring it every single night, somebody's going to beat you. It doesn't matter who it is. And I think that's why, the Mid-South has had a lot of success in the national tournament when we get there, because you're just battle tested all year long.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point, Coach. That's a really good test of a league, is not so much what the top 2 or 3 are doing, but traditionally, how tough are the bottom, 9, 10, whatever number in the conference. That really show. So you see that in all the very, very tough conferences is, every road game you're in peril, whoever you're playing.
Yeah. I mean, we're hitting game winners to beat the 10th place, 11th place, 12th place team. And a lot of leagues just don't have that.
So coming back this season, a couple of starters coming back. Reed Jolly, he played 24 minutes a game, and then Noah Pack, we talked about him. He's 6'9". He played 26 minutes a game. Those guys, they both, by the way, shot well over 50% from the field. The typical Thomas More Saint guys. But those are going to be your core, it looks like.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those guys are Thomas More basketball. They were my first recruiting class, at the scholarship level. Reed Jolly's a local guy, Campbell County High School. He took them to the Final Four back in the day. Noah Pax from Georgetown, Ohio, which is about 35, 40 minutes from here. Both of those guys, when I was recruiting them, I told them we got some really good players over here, and they're going to be the young guys. At some point, I'm going to hand you the keys to the program. Mm-hmm. That's basically what's going on right now. So I feel like they had a great summer, both of them. Both of those guys are ready to take on this new role as far as the leadership standpoint goes, showing the young guys how hard you have to work to be really good at this level. So I think they're up for it. I'm excited for both of them. This is what they've been working towards, to kind of be the guys. And we'll go as far as they take us.
You've got quite a few, or 3 guys that played significant minutes. You got back Jacob Jones. He played 23 minutes a game. 5'10", another guy, 55% from the field. Where do you find these shooters? And Casey George, he played 14 minutes a game as a freshman. And Wyatt, how do you say his last name? Veith?
Veith, yeah.
Veith. He played 12 minutes a game as a freshman, 42% from 3. So, with the starters and, those bench guys that contributed last season, you feel pretty comfortable with your core that's returning? These guys know your culture?
Well, first off, if Jacob Jones is 5'10", then I'm 6'8". That's being a little generous for good old JJ. But those 3 guys understand it. They're both first-year guys. JJ was a transfer from Green Bay, so he wasn't a true freshman. But they came in right away. They bought in. They picked up things quickly, and they were able to be, nice role players for those other guys. And I thought JJ in particular, he gave us a nice spark when he was able to play at Christmas with all the transfer rules. He had to sit out a little bit.
Right.
But Casey George and Veith, if you remember early last year, Reed Jolly was out with a back issue. So we played the first games without Reed or JJ. And we were able to go, we won on the road at Cumberland, Tennessee. We beat UT Southern at home, without those guys. So we were able to weather the storm because of those young guys, those role players, until, we could get some more firepower back, But, yes, those guys, they understand, the expectations here. They understand, what I want from them and how hard you got to work. So, the core nucleus, it's good to have guys who have been out there and know, what it's all about.
Coach Ray, I'm intrigued by your transfers. You went out and got some beef out of big guys. Matt Smith, he's 6'6", 225. He's out of Murray State. He's from Charlotte. He suffered some injuries over there, but he looks like a really good ball player. And then Kyle Ross, 6'7", 215. He came from Wisconsin and Milwaukee. He played 12 games over there. He's from Indiana. You know, were you looking for a particular type of player? They both have a very similar build, seem to have same game.
Yeah, well, I knew we had a bunch of guys who weren't out there last year that were currently here that are guards. Mm-hmm. You know, and Batey's gone. Garen Burks is 6'5", he's gone. Even Luke Rudy, who's the guard, but he was, you know, he had length. Defensively, he was 6'5", 6'4". So I knew we had to get bigger. With Batey's kind of late exit, we had to hit the transfer portal pretty hard. We had a pretty good freshman signed, a lot of other freshman class, guys coming in that we think can be pretty good here. But we had to get older and bigger, and that's where Matt Smith, Kyle Ross, Abba Lawal, those guys, they all seemed to fit the bill. We call them MKGs, man, my kind of guy. We were telling them, this is how we do things here, and we don't try to trick anybody when they come on campus, for visits. We tell them exactly how it is. We tell them, when you don't do the right things, nobody's going to tell you how great you are. We're going to tell you, this is how it needs to be done. We're going to hold you to a high standard. You're going to work really, really hard. And you may not get what you want at first. You may have to be patient. I think if they understand, the truth when they get here, it helps them, as far as kind of easing into things. So, Matt Smith, an older guy who's been at Murray State, and they've had a lot of success over there. His head's spinning a little bit, like having to learn all new stuff, new terminology, all that kind of good stuff. But, he's 22 years old. He's a senior. He's going to graduate, and then he's got 2 years after this. Wow. Kyle Ross was over there for 1 year. The coach gets fired. His brother actually won a national championship at Florida Southern, so he knew how good the level was at the small college, D2 NAIA. So, he wanted to win. He wanted to be a big part of that. They're saying all the right things. Scotty Droude's over here. He's a local kid who went to Kentucky Wesleyan. He's from Beechwood High School right here. Same thing. That's one of the things we got to find. You got to find guys who want to be here, and you got to find guys who want to win, and they're willing to take on any role to help you win.
So I want to ask you about Abba Lawal. Is I pronouncing it right? He played at Alabama A&M. They listed him as a 7-footer. You listed him as a 6'11". I mean, he's got to have some skills. He played 29 games, averaged 7 minutes a game. I tell every coach this: when I see a guy on an NAIA roster that's 7 foot, I always assume he's a project. Is Abba a project?
No, I mean, he does a lot of really good things. He's got a kind of a unique story, but he came from Nigeria, and he actually lived in Cincinnati. He went to Walnut Hills High School and Withrow High School here. Then went to Hargrave Military Institute, that took him to Alabama A&M. He blew his knee out last year, tore his ACL.
Oh, okay.
Had surgery in February, and was just kind of looking for a fresh start. And his adopted family, all his other family in the States are here. They're in Cincinnati.
Oh, okay. So it's a good fit for him.
That's a good fit. And he was AAU teammates with Ryan Batey. So that's kind of how that all came together. And again, we were looking to get bigger. NAIA, we were probably the smallest team at the Sweet 16 last year.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Definitely the smallest team, in the Mid-South for sure. But he does a lot of really good things. But I'll tell you what, he's just getting that knee healthy. He's 7 months out of surgery. He's starting to move a little bit. So there's definitely every new guy that comes here, Billy. I mean, they are all. I consider them all projects just because we play so different than most people. So they're all the new guys. Their heads are spinning. They don't know what the hell's going on, but they're getting better every day and figuring it out.
Well, I don't want anybody or any Thomas More fans to take that question wrong. It's just I've been watching NAIA basketball my whole life, and I'm an old guy, and when I see a 7-footer, usually he's a project, and so I just always ask. So I didn't mean anything by it.
No, I didn't take it that way.
You're gonna hit the hardwood, and you're not warming up. You're gonna go to Lucky Arena and take on Indiana Wesleyan November 5th. That's a heck of a warm-up game. Yeah,
it's the guys are excited about it. I think that we've we've begun 2 of the 3 years at the NAI level with Marion, with Coach Hetty.
Yep.
And that, I felt like that sets the tone early. We got them a few years ago. They beat us last year. I think it helps those guys figure out really quick how good teams are, especially at the top. And Indiana Wesleyan, Coach Tonigal, I mean, they've been so good for so long. We go there and we get one on the road, great. If we go there and they kick our ass, that'll be a really good teachable moment as well. So nothing but good things can come out of it.
You mentioned that Marion game last season. I remember that game pretty clearly, and I thought, in looking at the season in an entirety, I almost thought that game was a turning point for your team because you guys came out of that loss really strong.
I think you're right on. You hit it right on the head there. I mean, that was kind of a gauge to where we are, and they're at the top of the crossroads, which is also one of the best, arguably one of the best conferences in the country. And they just came into your house and beat you. So that helped us figure out, man, we got a lot of work to do. So from then on, man, I thought we had a new perspective on how things need to be, and things we needed to clean up and work on. And that not all losses are bad losses.
Yeah, I agree. I'm hearing that more and more from coaches. Obviously, everybody's scheduling tougher preseasons because of strength of schedule and what it means and the ratings and everything for the NAI. But I think that the philosophy of, okay, we're going to play some games and learn who we are has kind of morphed into, no, we're going to play the best people we can because we need to get exposed early so we don't get exposed when we kick off conference. I'm hearing that from more and more and more coaches.
Yeah. And I think that, you can afford to, if we lose to Indiana Wesleyan or, Marion or whatever, the Mid-South is so damn good.
Yeah.
That, if you're in the top 3, top 4, hell, I think last year did the Mid-South send 6 teams to the national tournament, maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So it doesn't kill you, as far as the standings, and it helps you with strength of schedule and all that kind of stuff, but it just helps you get prepared for just an absolute gauntlet of a Mid-South schedule. So that's why I like to do it. I like to get them in there early. I like to go on the road, and have to deal with a hostile environment and really see what we're made of and see how guys react to that kind of adversity. And, because they're gonna have to deal with it in the Mid-South.
Exactly. No, yeah. It's coming in conference anyway. So you a couple of you had 3 graduates that were significant for the program, but now it's next man up. I mean, you've got some great returners. You got some great transfers. What is it going to take to bring this team together and compete in the Mid-South for another championship?
Yeah, well, I think, Billy, it's, you've got to put it all together. You've got some guys that have experience. You've got a bunch of new guys. You've got some guys that have been here that don't have game experience. And that's why I think if you look at every year, man, we go on a tear about December every year. And that's it takes us a little bit longer to get going because of the system we run, and the things that we do are just so different from what guys are used to. Our ability to figure each other out defensively and offensively, because it's not last year's team. It's completely different. We need to let go of that thought right away that we're just going to roll in and beat people because of what we did last year or what we've done since we've been in the Mid-South. None of that matters. These guys need to understand that, if we don't play our game, if we don't play harder than most teams, if we don't play together, we've got 0 chance of beating any good teams. I think we've got a chance to be special. It's just whether or not we can put it all together.
Well, I certainly wish you a lot of luck as the season starts. I'll be in Indiana just a few days before you. In fact, I'm getting in there the day after you play up at Indiana Wesleyan. It's too bad. I that would be a very good game to get to. But we wish you a lot of luck as the season starts. Hopefully we can get you back on as the season gets going and the Mid-South starts to rack up some numbers, and we can talk more about Mid-South basketball.
Yeah, I would love to do that. We got to get you over here at a home game in the Connor Convocation Center. It gets rocking in here, man. We got to get you over to Crestview Hills.
Oh, that'd be great. I would love that. That's thank you very much. We have to set that up.
Well, we got to get over here, man.
Well, thank you very much.
You go to a Bengals game the next day.
Well, I'm an old guy. I don't know if I could take all that. Too much excitement.
That's right. Well, I appreciate everything you do for NAI basketball and small college hoops, man. We need more people like you, and I love listening to your podcast and all your shows and your interviews. So it's been really good. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, Coach. I truly love small college basketball, NAI basketball. I've followed it my whole life. So thank you very much. That means a lot.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you so much.
That's Coach Justin Ray. He's the head men's basketball coach at Thomas More, the Saints. Thank you very much, Coach.
All right. Hope to talk to you again soon. Thanks, Billy.
Hey, thank you very much to Coach Justin Ray, head men's basketball coach at Thomas More, the Saints. I really appreciate him taking the time and being so open about, the school going back to NC2A, and then talking a bit about the Talladega game last season. He's a very disciplined guy. He runs a very disciplined team, and they're actually fun to watch. So speaking of fun to watch, NAI basketball is fun to watch, and somewhere near you, especially if you're listening to this show, there's an NAI basketball program that you need to get out and support. You need to get your butt in the seat, support those student athletes, and make sure that these programs stay strong. And you know what? It's not going to cost you dinner. You're still going to be able to have Christmas, and you'll still be able to buy your little brother a Coke, because NAI basketball is the best entertainment value in America.